How's it going? So tonight I'm gonna learn how to make a game from scratch. This should be quite a bit of fun, and we're gonna see how it goes. Let's start it. I got a tutorial on one screen, so I'm gonna be looking over this way quite a bit, so I can read it as we go. But workspace that I'm going to be building the game in. Got pulled up. I'm gonna read the tutorial. Fair warning, I am dyslexic and ADHD. Not the best reader, but you gotta read to learn, so yeah. See how this goes. The workspace, so that's this area right here. Dog's just hanging out with me. See, ADHD, already getting distracted. The workspace is the name we give the main area in the middle window where you will be doing the bulk of your work. There are different types of workspaces too, but we'll cover that a bit more later. On the right of the workspace we'll have the resource tree, which is assets. Source. Oh, that's not it. Oh, these are them. Okay. Which lists all the different elements that your project can use, like sprites or objects or rooms. We will explain what each resource type is as we come to that in the tutorial. Alright, so it is worth noting that the resource tree is considered to be docked to the side window. It can be open, closing. Also be around. GameMaker 2 is fully customizable, so you can change the colors and fonts and everything like that. Blah blah blah. Sprites. We have our new project and an empty resource tree, so it's time to get started making our game. The aim of this tutorial is to simply get a player object onto the screen and moving around, and the first thing we're going to need for that is a sprite. Sprite is an image that can be combined with certain properties, which is then used in the game to represent something. In this case, we are going to make a sprite to represent our player. Let's go ahead and create our first sprite resource. Simply click the right mouse on the sprite resource and select create. So sprites, there it is. Create. This will open the sprite editor where we can add an image. Blah blah blah. Create. Right. Okay, there we are. Hey. Sprite 1. Right, sprite 1. Yep. Start with, you will need name the sprite. This is the name will be unique identifier for the sprite throughout your game. Do anything you wish, although we recommend that you use some kind of identifier prefix like SPR or simply S as blah 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 called sprite player. So how do I right? Okay. There we go. Sprite player. We now need to add an image to the sprite to use as our player. For that, we'll use the following image in the tutorial. You can blah blah blah. Import. Sprite player. We are. Okay. With this tutorial, they gave me all the resources I'll need and everything like that. Open. Importing file sprite is an undoable action. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You need to click the button Import to open the File Explorer, where you can browse for an appropriate image, which must be either PNG, GIF, or JPEG format. Tutorial has created a tutorial resources folder for you within the project files. Got it. Warning. Top part of the editor will show a single image, and the main window will have The main window will have a right here. The main window will have a larger preview. Right? If you add a sprite, the animation in the top part will show each individual frame, and clicking on them will show that frame in the preview window below. But as we only have one image sprite, now that we've added the image, we need to set its origin. The origin is simply a point of the sprite that will be used to position it within our game room. And you can set it by either right-clicking anywhere on the preview image, set the origin mouse point, or using the drop-down menu and selecting a fixed position for it. You can see that in the image indicate middle center, so select that. Okay. Go with middle center. Go. Objects and instances. Okay, so I guess we're done with that one. Okay, close that. Alright. Objects will be used for almost everything in your game, from the player to the enemies to the bullets and explosions. You can define how they behave and react by giving them code. Before creating our first object, let's quickly run over what an object is conceptually. The idea behind an object is to create a kind of blueprint of behaviors that can be used. Stop licking yourself. Can be used within a game. We think of it as a blueprint because in a game you don't actually have any objects. You have instances instead. Instances are copies of the initial object placed within the game room. The objects are in the resource tree and are then used to create the instances that populate our game room. This means that changing an instance's properties will not change the properties of the object it's made from. However, changing an object will change all subsequent instances created from it. We are going to go ahead and create an object now. The object will be for our player, and it is what will permit us to move and shoot in the game room. To create an object, right-click on the object resource and select Create. So, Objects, Create, create a new blank object. Okay. Got it. See, I'm getting there. It's working. The object editor will be opened within the same workspace as the sprite editor, and it may push the sprite editor out of the visible space. You can hold down the middle mouse button and move the mouse to pan the workspace around. You can also use control and overlooking button. I don't know what that. Whatever. I won't be doing that. Now we have our object. We need to name it. So let's follow it. Object player. So we're gonna name that object underscore player. Go. Got it. Now associate the sprite with the object by selecting it from the list of available sprites. This. Yes, this one. Okay. Sprite play. There we go. Right. Associating an object with a sprite in this way means that when you place an instance of the object in the game room, this is what will be drawn, and certain attributes of the sprite will be used by instances. Let's go ahead and place an instance in the game room now. Okay. Rooms. So we're on to the next thing. This. The only resource that is created for you by default when you create a new project is the room resource. This is because all games require at least one room to run, and so GameMaker Studio 2, oh, that's the program I'm using, by the way, GameMaker Studio 2. It's pretty awesome. GameMaker Studio 2 makes this room for you. You can delete it and you can edit it. You can create further rooms using the right mouse button menu. In this case, we will simply edit the default room 0. Rooms. Room. Okay. To open it, for editing, you need to double click on it, which will open the room edit. Bam. Yeah, okay, there we are. Alright. Rooms can be used for just about anything. You can have a single room for every aspect of your game, like splash screen, menu, main menu, introduction, level 1, 2, 3, etc. Or you can have a single room and generate everything using code. Normally, you'd have to mix both of these things with some rooms fulfilling multiple purposes, like one room for all of your different menus and other rooms for single purpose, like overworld room, level room. With the room editor workspace open, you will see most of the screen is taken up by a large black area with a grid, or with squares over it. This area is the actual room, right here, which is currently a blank canvas on which you can place resources to create your game level. Oh, I did not see the chat. Jacob, I apologize for that. I'm using a program called GameMaker Studio 2. Let me see if I can actually get you a link to the actual engine I'm using. Okay, yep, this is the one. Alright, I'm going to put it in the chat for you. Hope you're still here to see it. There you are. Okay. Sorry about that, I didn't see the chat. Okay. Everything that goes into a room is placed on a layer. We'll discuss layers in more detail in further tutorials, so make sure the instance layer is selected and the property. There we go. Alright. Make sure the instance layer is selected and the layer, yep, it's selected. No problem at all. It's actually super fun. If you're planning to make one, I'm not super far into this. I could send you the link to the tutorial that I'm using, and you could follow along and try making this one yourself too if you'd like, or you can just have fun with it on your own time. It's up to you. But if you want the tutorial, let me know. Alright, so the instances layer is selected. Properties. Then you can simply drag an instance of the object layer into the room by clicking on it and dropping it. Okay. So I literally just grab it and... Oh, cool. That is so easy. Dropped it into the room. It's now in the room. Okay. It will appear. We can actually run the game now. As we have a room and an object, so go ahead and click the run button at the top left of the IDE. You will see some text scroll up and the output window at the bottom of the window, and then the game will run. Okay. Yeah, screw it. Try it. This one. Run. Yep, that's the one. Okay. When its text thing that it said it was going to do. Very cool. So now it's in here. And obviously I can't move it yet. But it's in here. So that's pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and close that. Sky and stuff. Well, not yet. Blah, blah, blah. Before continuing, we should give a room a name. So the default name isn't very descriptive. On resource. Name the room. Okay. Sure, I'll name the room. Why not? Yeah. Alright. Call it RM. Sorry for the cough. Alright. Back to it. Alright. You can close the game window now. Okay, and then double click on the object player in the resource tree, and this will take you back to our main workspace and focus on the object you want. Okay, so double click on object. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, cool. All right, it's fun so far. I'm enjoying this. Give me 1 second, guys. Where is it? There it is. Changed my scene, didn't I? Yeah. There we go. Okay. Oop. Alright. Get back to it. Key down left and key down right are already selected, so that's cool. You'll notice that the object has another window chained to it, the event editor. A game in GameMaker Studios 2 is simply a selection of code within events that are performed a number of times every second. This is called the game loop. A single game loop is called a game frame. The number of game frames in a second is what gives us our frames per second, FPS, value for the project. By default, it is set to 30, meaning that our game will perform a game frame loop through all of the game code 30 times every second. Okay, cool. And in each single frame of the game code, you have events. These events fall into two broad categories. Those events that happen every single game loop, like the step event or the draw event, and those events that happen only when a certain criteria has been met, like a key press event or a create event. You can see all of the categories by clicking on event, that event button. Oh, there we go. There they are. Alright. So. Okay, Cool. The image above, you will see that we have highlighted the step category, and within that general step event, as you know, it looks like, because I was trying to do this before, it looks like I'm gonna go ahead and delete these because I was already practicing this earlier, like months ago. So we're just gonna start from scratch. Alright, you can highlight the step category, and within that general step event, as this is what we want to add to our object. So we're to add that. I'm going to say step, and we're going to hit step. There we go. Okay, I need to zoom out. Okay. That'll work. Oh, come on. Drink this. Probably help. Alright. If you select it, and then you'll see an event added to the event editor window. Right there. And a new window chained to it. It's this one, right? Okay. The new window is the D&D editor and is split into 3 parts. On the left, we have the action list. That would be this. This gives a list overview of all the actions in the event. In the middle, we have the action workspace. This is where you drop the actions that you want to perform and edit them. Okay, and on the right, we have the action toolbox. Here you can find all the drag and drop action blocks that you can use to create your own game. The idea of drag and drop is simple. Select an action from the toolbox and drag, then drop it onto the action list here. Once in the workspace, you edit the parameters that it requires and then continue to drag and drop. So I chose the drag and drop. There's 2 ways you can go with it. You can do the drag and drop, or you can do like actually putting in code, like typing out code and like all that kind of crazy stuff. I months ago tried the code thing and it was not good at it. It didn't work out for me. This drag and drop method though, I've previously tried it and it's really awesome. So this is going to help a lot. And if this is your first time making a game, I really recommend doing the drag and drop because it just makes everything like that much easier. You know what I'm saying? Alright. Gotta get back to my tutorial real quick. Okay. Once edit the parameters it requires and then continue to drag and drop further actions to chain them to the previous one. Note that the actions are added in a linear fashion, so each subsequent action that you add will be added after the previous. Let's see how it works in practice by adding an action. As mentioned above, the step event is run each and every game loop. So everything we put in here will happen once per game frame, 30 times in a second for a 30 frame per second game, 60 for 60 frames per second game. So those actions will happen 30 times in a second. That's pretty cool. In this case, we're going to add an action to the event to make the player instance move right across the screen. We could use the movement actions for this, but to give you a better idea of how GameMaker Studio does things, we are going to set the built-in variable to X, move, and use the action assign variable. Okay, we're going to grab assign variable. We're going to drop it into here. Okay, there we go. We want to set the value of X to 4 relative to its previous value, so we set the action to look like this. Okay, so name X value 4 is relative. Okay. Awesome. Now that note that now in the list view on the left of the editor we have an action written as plain text. So add 4 to X. Go. So what does this do then? All instances have some built-in variables of which X and Y are perhaps the most important as they set the position of the instance in the game room. In this case we are telling GameMaker Studio 2 to take the X position value and then add 4 to it. Note that if you hadn't flagged the relative checkbox, then we would be setting X to 4 rather than adding it. If we had used -4 instead of 4, then we would have been subtracting 4 from X. If you run the game now, you'll see the player instance move off to the right. Alright, let's see him disappear off the screen. He's not doing anything. What? Oops. Okay, hold on. Okay. Let me go back and double check my work because apparently... okay. Go ahead and redo all that. I see what I did wrong. Okay. It's supposed to be this one. Add event. Step. Okay. Here, come on, go away. Variable. X. 4 is relative. Now, run it. And there it goes. Okay, so I was messing with the wrong object. That was the problem. Okay. And it disappeared off the screen like it was supposed to. For now. Right. We want to now make the player instance move when the user presses the arrow keys on the keyboard. Currently we are adding 4 to the X value every game frame. So what we want to do is only add 4 if the keyboard right arrow is being pressed. For that we are going to use the if key down action, which will evaluate to either true or false if the given key is being held down. If it evaluates to true, then we will move the instance by 4. The action can be found in the mouse and keyboard section toolbox. Mouse and keyboard section, there it is. Okay, and we're looking for the if key pressed, correct? No, if key. If key. It is. Go ahead and drop that in. Right. Note that when we drag it to the existing action area, an area will be highlighted, indicating that it can be placed either above or below the action in the chain. Image above, we placed it above. There, whatever. Okay. Once you drop it, you will see that it's connected. Okay, it is connected. Awesome. Now, that square chain on the left means that the if action will be called and then the assign variable action. But that they are independent of each other. We want to change this so that the assign variable action will only be called if the key is pressed now. So we drag this onto not letting onto that there it goes. Okay, now we have the squiggly line. Okay, drag it onto the right side of the keyboard down. Now that we have the if checking for a key and only if it returns true, key being held down, we will run the assign variable action. We only need to set the key that is being checked now. Change the VK space value for VK right. VK variables are specific built-in constants that are specifically designed to be keyboard keys. It should all look like this. Okay, so we want to change space to right. Okay. That the conditional we are checking is the value returned by the function keyboard check, which returns true if the key, in this case right arrow, is being held down, and the false otherwise. Note that the assigned variable action is placed to the right to indicate that it is only being run if the conditional check is true. That this is also reflected in the action list on the left, where the assigned variable entry has been tapped to. Run the game and press the button. Okay, he's sitting still. Now, it's the right arrow button. He did it, and when I let go, he stops moving. Very cool. Very, very, very cool. Alright. This is going great. I'm loving this. Hit the wrong tab. Okay. We can expand the current action list now to cover the remaining 3 directions of up, left, and down. Now you could repeat the whole process and add each action, or you could do what we'll do now, which is copy and paste the actions, and then edit them. Copy multiple actions. First you have to select them by holding down Control and that button again. What the button? Do I even have that button? My keyboard is super simple. No. Shift. Copy. Paste. Hey, there we go. 2, 3. There we go. So, now this will be probably did them all. Okay. 4 ifs. 1. I added too many. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Alright. Awesome. You can now edit the actions so that they have the right arrow key down, VK right, X plus 4. Okay, add X to 4. If the left arrow key, so change. Right. Want to change this to left. Want to change this to negative. Oh, do it over. Oh, okay, there we go. So then, if this key is pressed, VK up, and we want to change that to Y equals negative 4. Sorry, I have to sneeze. Sorry about that. And then we'll click this one. And that is if down, or VK down, and we want to change that to positive 4. Y, sorry, Y 4. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. That's that. As you can see, we subtract X, go left this time, and we have also changed the last 2 conditionals to change the Y position instead of the X position. Subtract from Y moves up, and adding to Y moves down. Game Maker Studio 2, the 0, 0 position is considered as the top left hand corner of your room and the horizontal axis of the x-axis. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it. Okay. Run the game now and move the instance with the arrow keys. That. Play. Right works. Left is not working. Down and up are not working. But right works. Let's see what I could have done wrong. We're going to go ahead and take a look at instructions again. Relative is relative is relative. Do my codes match? Let's see. Okay. What the hell? Where is the top of this? Oh. Okay. So, start with the first one. If VK, if key down, VK right, X and 4 relative. Okay, if VK right, X and 4 relative. VK left, X and negative 4 relative. So that's what's up. Oh. Okay, X and negative 4 relative. VK left. Okay. So far right. See, these are not supposed to be chained together. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna back all of these away. We're gonna back them all away. Alright. We're gonna do if key is down. There we go. We're gonna do VK left. I'm just trying to do this the best I can. Variable. Right to the side. Patched. Cool. Supposed to be called X. This one's supposed to be negative 4. Relative. Now, before I bother with the other steps, we're going to go ahead and give this. He moves right, he moves left. Okay. Cool. Let's do this again. Let's scroll down. Go. Nope. You're not supposed to be attached like that. What the hell? There. Okay. That. This one is supposed to be called Y. Value is negative 4. This one is up. Supposed to be VK up, Y negative 4 relative. Okay. One more to do. E is pressed down. This will be. Okay. Here. Add that to that. Y 4. Now. Again. Right. Left. Up. What the hell? Okay. It just snapped to there, so let's double check if I did something wrong here. Y4 relative. Down, Y4 up. Ah, relative. I forgot the relative. Okay. This again. Right, left, up, down. We got a moving sprite inside of a game room. That is pretty awesome. And I can control it with my D-pad. My arrow keys. Cool. Back in. As you can see, blah, 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 blah. Okay, rotation. We are almost finished with this tutorial, but there is one final thing we want to happen with our player instance. We need to make it rotate to always face the mouse where it is being moved around the screen. That way the user can move with the keyboard and aim and shoot with the mouse. Go. What's up, Shell? Not sure what you are saying, but how you doing? All right. For this, we are going to use another of the built-in variables that all objects have: the image angle. Okay. Variable controls the angle of the sprite assigned to the instance by setting it to anything other than 0. We'll rotate the sprite and its associated collision mask. By the amount given, the default this is set to 0 for every instance in the room. It can be changed anytime using the set instance rotation app. We are not going to set the rotate. What are we going to set it to? We actually need to use a function to get the angle we want to set the sprite to, and then we'll store the value it returns in a variable ready to set the rotation of the instance. Note, it is important that most D&D actions will make functions and expressions too, not just values. And then in this case we are going to use a function to get the direction from the player instance and the mouse pointer, set the image angle to that. But first of all, still in the object player step event, we need to declare a local temporary variable and add our function to it. For that we are going to drag the action declare temp from the common action, add it to the function declare temp. That's the one. Declare temp. So declare temp. Attached. Okay. 1 second. I just want to make sure that it's not supposed to be. I see it's supposed to be a separate thing. If we can get it to be a separate thing. Get out of here. Just go. Gone. I'm just gonna leave it for now. Figure it out later. So, name it direction, and type all that. I'm gonna throw this on my other screen real quick so I can type all that out. Direction. Want point underscore direction these x comma y comma mouse or this one of them mouse or x comma mouse underscore y sees. Okay, and then we want to set instance rotation. There's that one. Oh, it looks like Pac-Man. Alright. That instance rotation. Go. We want cool. Sure. You run the game. One more time now, you should see that the player instance moves around and that it turns to face the mouse. Fingers crossed. Oh, hey, it's actually, yeah. It's sort of working. Not nearly like as smoothly as theirs does. Oh, it's only working on the down. Okay. Well, that's because this is not supposed to be attached to it. So, let's see if we can figure out how to get that unconnected. Kidding me? You let me do that, but you're not gonna let me do this one? I'll just mess around with it for... Why are you wanting to attach to that? Like, what? Why? Alright, with a little manipulation, I think we got it. Let's go ahead and give it a play. And it's moving around, following my mouse. Now if we move our arrow keys, he follows me around. Up and move my mouse over here. Down, move my mouse around. Right, move my mouse around, and he... That's awesome. Alright, let's get this back in here. That's what it was supposed to look like, and that's what I got. Let's see what's next. Summary: the first section of this tutorial is now complete, and you have the player moving around, and you have their ship turning towards the mouse and ready to start shooting. Before going any further, though, let's just jump over a few of the core concepts that you should take away with you from this section. You were shown how to create a new project, you were shown how to dock windows on the workspace, and how to move around the workspace with the mouse. Learned that sprites are images resources with some additional properties. You learned that objects are what makes the game function, and that they are blueprints for instances in the game. You learned about the game loop and events. You found out that you can only have a game if it has at least one room resource. You added some basic drag and drop and learned about variables and conditionals. Made a test project, and that does something. Alright, so this is where I'm going to stop it for the night. The game making. And I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break, and when I come back we're going to play Splitgate. So, I'll see you shortly. Okay, I am back. I don't know. What do you think? Should we keep making the game or should we play Splitgate? I'm not sure. Let's see. I think I'm going to... Hold real quick. 1 second. Alright. So... Just trying to figure out if I want to continue on.
Right now?
To figure out if I want to continue on or if we're going to play Split. You know what? I think we're gonna continue on. Kinda wanna see this little guy shoot. That'd be a lot of fun to see my little character that I made. Hey, thank you, Raven. Appreciate it. Appreciate the lurk. Made this little guy and he moves around the screen, and if I move my mouse, he spins around and faces where my mouse is aiming. So that's where we're at. Now, I'm watching Raven's stream on my phone, recording her. So, anyways, now what we're gonna do is make this little guy shoot bullets. So let's get the tutorial pulled back up, and we are on bullets. Alright, this section picks up where the previous section left off. You created a sprite, assigned it to an object, and placed it in an instance in the object room. This little guy right here. Made it move around with the arrow keys and always rotate to point at the mouse button position. That was a good start, but it still wasn't a game. So in this tutorial, we're going to be adding a shooting mechanic to the project. Close the accompanying video. You can get it back by clicking here. Do I need the video? Anyways, I think we can go ahead and close this whole situation. If I can. Okay. Gonna. You're an object, right? That's what I'm messing with. We're gonna close that. Alright. Close the right click on the mouse on sprites in the resource folder. Okay. And we are going to create new sprite. Okay. Right click, create a sprite. We're going to then name this sprite. Gonna name it SPR underscore bullet. Go. Right. Now we're gonna import and find the bullet. So we're gonna import, and we're going to, that's the player. Probably an object. Nope, that's object player. Options, mid, blah, 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 blah. Rooms. Nope, nope, nope. Go ahead and pull this over here. Give me a second. I gotta find it. Don't remember what I did with it. with the actual folder. Just gotta find. It's not it. Would it be in my download? See if it's in my. Okay, so what we're gonna have to actually do is grab the files again. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. Sorry, I thought I had them. Apparently don't. Licking yourself, Chance, please. Oh, you're hurting your skin. Okay, so I need. The folder. Need the folder. I gotta find the folder. Let me see what I can. Unprepared, apparently. Lola Bunny, thank you for the follow, Lola Bunny. I really appreciate it. Okay. Apologize for not being prepared. Nope. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to find that. Stop it. Okay. Let's see. Dude, Chance, you're licking yourself so much that you're rubbing the hair off of you. Please stop that. I hate to see you like that. Education. Resources, maybe? Tutorials. Alright. This is the one I'm doing. Click it. Prosecute. Blah. Project. Let's go ahead and open up this video and see tutorial assets. There it is. Okay. Oh, where? Why does it keep closing? This is the link I need. Copy link address. Enter it. Enter. Why don't you want to download? Do I need to do it on this one? There we go. Okay, so I can go ahead and close this. This one. Okay, there we are. Gonna go ahead and extract this to downloads. Gonna extract it to the desktop. Stop. There we are. Okay, so I have all the files I need now. That. Scroll back down to bullets. bar, bullet timing, bullet layer, bullet. This is a long project, huh? Alright, now I can import the bullet. Import. Desktop. Scroll down, looking for bullet. Open. Yes. Now I have a bullet. Hope it's the right one. Yep, it's the right one. Okay. We got it. Bullet object. Great object. Blah 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 blah. Great object bullet. There's no sprite and add it. Okay. So right click, create object. We're gonna name it the same thing. So it's SPR or bullet. Going to click this. We're and SPR bullet. There we go. Got it. Back up. Now have events. Blah blah blah. We're gonna do a step event. And what we're gonna use is the if mouse down one for this. So to add event step. It's over here. And we're looking for if mouse press down. This is if mouse down. Is that the right one? If mouse down. Alright. Bam. If mouse down. Okay. Be left. Yep. The action function is just like the keyboard down action. Blah. Well, why do they have the direction one up there? I guess I should actually read. Alright, let's get this chat pulled. Wait. Open the step event. Double click. Blah blah blah. Click the event if it's. We are going to edit this now dynamically. Create instances of the bullet object as the game is played. Instances don't just get placed in. It can also be created, destroyed as runtime using certain actions. See. In our step event action workspace, we need to add the following action at the end of the current if mouse down. End of the list. Ah, I should read up here. New object will have events window chained. Blah blah blah. Going to go back. We're going to go back to our player object and edit that so that double click on. I can get rid of this. Get rid of that. Close this. Don't need that. Double click on the object player. We're going to apparently continue. So annoying. That's great. So, this is where I'm supposed to do if mouse press down. I don't think it's supposed to be attached to that. Let's double check. And set instant rotation. Yeah. Okay. Now that the action we will create our bullet. If the mouse button is held down, which is the action instance create, be dragged and added to the right the if. So, create object. We're gonna drop it. Bam! Man, we are so good. Instead of pulling this up and down every 5 seconds, there we go. Now, to keep things simple for now, the arguments we are going to use in this argument are as follows. Object bullet, that to I didn't make an object bullet. Shit. Doing. My brain not going too well right now. Object folder, create object bullet. Look at something real. This is supposed to be object. There we go. Alright. Now I fixed it. Close it. Scroll back. Okay. Object underscore bullet. Go. Object bullet. For X, we're going to put mouse underscore X. For Y, we're going to put mouse underscore Y. Okay. This is going to stay as instances. Now you can hit the run button and see what happens. Follows me around, he moves, and if I click, it creates lots of bullets. Bam, 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 bam. So far so good. I'm actually doing alright, even though I had a few hiccups there. Layers. Before continuing, we should look at the concept of layers in a bit more depth. The bullet instance we are creating is created by using an instance create action. Okay? Which creates an instance and assigns it to the layer ID that you give. In this case, the default room editor layer for instances. But what is a layer? Simply put, layers are conceptual 2D spaces that we can use to store things. And the order in which we have the layers within the room editor will affect that. Okay. Alright. Blah 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 blah. In our tutorial game, we have just set the bullet instance to use the same layer as the instance of the object player is assigned to by using the layer name instances from the room editor. All objects are placed on layers, and when the instance is created in a room, it must always be assigned to a layer. And the layer it is assigned to will affect the render order, i.e., whether it is drawn above or below other things that are being drawn on the... We could, for example, have created a bullets layer in the room editor and then use that to explicitly say that we want the bullets on a unique layer. The action for that would be simply bullets layer. You can see that if a layer has been created in the room editor, we can use its name as an identifier to target it within this action and few others. We will do this a little later on in the tutorial, so don't worry about it just now, and we'll just use the instances layer for now. Okay, cool. If you want to find out more about this, press F1 to open the manual and do a search for layers. Bullets! Better bullets. Going back to our game, if you press the play button now, you can test our bullet creation. Did that. Okay. It's not really what we want, is it? We need to change the action, make the bullets fire from player towards the mouse and not just magically appear where the player clicks. To do that, let's first change the step event action instance create of the object player by simply changing it to use the player position XY instead of the mouse. Oh, so instead of the mouse position. Okay, so we're just going to say X and Y. Okay, that's simple. Okay. Once you've made this change, we need to switch to our object object bullet, double click and object bullet. Okay. Source tree, and you to bring up the workspace switch. We need to add a create event to our bullet. So we're going to, or this step. It's not doing steps. We're going to second. Okay, we're going to create a, what was it? Need to add a create event. Great. Okay. To our bullet, unlike the sub event. Create. Adding the event will chain the action editor window to the event editor for us to bullet to shoot off in the direction of the mouse. We need to add the following actions. Action we see will set the bullet in the direction variable to the direction of my position. It looks this point direction. Going to make X mouse underscore X, Y mouse underscore Y. Okay. Now we need to assign a variable for what that one looks like. Oh, yeah. Assign a variable. Attach. Call it direction. Direction. We're going to set that value to random underscore range parentheses 4,4. Okay. Now we're going to set speed. Set speed. Oh, is that it? Set speed. Throw that underneath. That's going to stay direction. We're going to make the speed 16 apparently. Scroll down, and we need to set an instance rotation. So that is the Pac-Man look. Then set instance rotation. We're going to set that angle to direction. Okay, we are caught up. Go ahead and hit the run and see what happens. Spins around, moves around. Now, oh man, something went wrong. He's only firing out from the side. It's supposed to be firing wherever my mouse goes. Let's figure out what went wrong. Ah! Okay, the assigned variable is supposed to be relative. I screwed that one up. Okay. Spins around, moves around, and fires! Very cool. Very, very, very cool. Alright. So far, so good. Now, I'm starting to resemble something that could be called a game, but there's an issue because we are creating bullets on the same layer as the player. They are being drawn on top of the player. Doesn't look right, so let's fix that now. Alright, the bullet, like, as we discussed previously, player. Go ahead and close this. Everything, we'll bring this back out. Alright. As we discussed previously, how to draw upon things. You open the room editor from our there it is. From my room, double click on the resource in the resource tree. See that by default layer editor is docked on the top left. Now I goes to click on back. Looks like it. Room, layer, properties. No. That's not it. Okay. Ah. It looks like it's supposed to be instant. It's that. Make this easier on me. Currently we have two layers, instances and background. Okay. These are default layers created for a new room, where the background layer permits you to use the color of a sprite for a single background image. For instance, it permits you add instances to the room. Currently the player instance is on the instance. Oh, okay, so got it. And we need to add a new layer for our bullets, so click on the new layer button. This one. And we're going to emit bullets layer. Go. Layer has been created above the player, so let's move it down. Right there. Okay, moved it down. Layer order is actually defined by a value called depth value. If you look at the layer properties window by default under the layer editor, see this value shown. Value shown as you change layer order, it will change too. You can change this value if you wish, but by default it's locked, built by game. Cool. Neat. Essentially, the higher the depth, the nearer the camera is to the lower, and the lower the depth, the further away. So, a layer at depth -200 will draw under a layer with depth of 300, for example. When you go back to the object player, right? Close that, yeah. Oh, object player. Change the creation code to look like this. Create instances, object bullet, XY, bullet layer. This is object player, yeah. Change this to bullet layer. I think that's what I call it. Where'd my room go? Okay, close that out real quick because I lost my room. Crap. Oh, man. I didn't have closed my room. Hit play. Was this? Oh. Something I cleared up. Where? I need my room back. This is the assets. This is my output. How do I get is room 2. And I select, can I get room 1 back, please? Thank you. Appreciate that. Damn. Okay, well I know how to make a room now. I'm gonna go ahead and did it again in me. That's it. Oh, go to you can't, man. Screwed up. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to this, going to create room. We're going to drag our object player back into the room. We're going to run a test real quick. Moves around. Screwed that up, that's right. Oh look, that window that I need is not here. Why do I do this to myself, guys? Asset row. Right there. Windows. Output. Output. Tutorial. Oh, you know what? There's recent. Oh my god. Okay. I might have to actually... What's up? I don't know how to change that emotes thing. And I screwed up. Thank you for rating with 8 viewers. I appreciate that. That's really awesome. I'm currently trying to figure out what I did wrong. Because, yeah. We're gonna... And that... thing gone. Up. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna save. Go ahead and hit be right back. Second, guys. Game maker. My stream says I'm playing Splitgate. That's funny. That is funny. Turn off Nightbot. It's been doing this for me for a while. Well, I think it was happening before I put Nightbot on the stream, like the other night when you guys came in. It was doing this. Yeah. I don't know why it says I'm playing Splitgate. That's really strange. That is really strange. I was going smoothly making this game, and then I accidentally closed something, and now I'm trying to figure out how to get it back. So, gotta give me a second. This happened to me. Also, I closed the property since it was believing. There was this of a called room menu bar under which you can choose to show. That doesn't help. Okay. I'm sorry guys, I know this is probably pretty boring. Oh, thank you, Raven. I'll catch you next time. But as I was saying, I'm sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to figure out how to get my editor back, because I don't want to have to start the whole project again. Get it to here, click layouts. Okay. Here, when you see the then after that, you have clicked layouts. You should see 3 options pop up: save layout, load layout, and reset layout. Okay. Okay. Sure. Fine with me. Open my room. Hey, it's back. Okay. Alright, cool. Nice. So, I can get workspace 2 gone. Go to objects. Objects player. That. I can hit play. We can see. Yeah, he still moves, he does that, blah 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 blah, but when I fire, it's gonna fuck. Cool. So now I need to fix that problem. So how we're gonna do that is here. Going to here, create instance, bullets layer. We're gonna figure out what I did. See, I got 4 viewers. Thank you guys for checking this out. I really appreciate it. What I'm doing is I'm making a game from scratch. I ran into a little hiccup there because this little sidebar window, I kind of screwed it up. So, yeah. Just gotta redo everything that I was trying to do. Bullets layer. Something there. Back into workspace. Bullet. Okay. Back on track. See if we can figure out what I did wrong. Or where I'm at, I mean. Okay, so in the object player, and change creation code to look like this. So it's XY, bullets layer, got it. Cool. Not sure. Still game. Okay, so that's correct. So if we run the game now, round, left or right, left, fires where I want them to. Cool. And it's not coming out from on top. Very cool. Fixed it. Awesome. So, as you can see right here, what we got going on now is I have made this sprite in the room. I have made it so that he can move around left and right. up, down. I can have him follow my mouse around the screen, and when I click, he shoots bullets in whatever direction the mouse is. That's where we're at. So now we're going to continue on. Bullet timing. At the moment, our bullets are created 1 per game frame every time the game loops around and performs the step event again, which is about too fast for what we require. So now we need to slow the rate of fire down a bit, or we need to add a create event for the object player, and in it add the following. Assign variable. That player assign variable. I'm gonna throw this in here. Come on. Come on. I hate when you do this. Need it to be on the line like that. There we go. Alright. I'm gonna call this cooldown. And I can't spell. All we are doing here is preparing a variable called cooldown for us to use later. Created. But this we're creating. We are now going to use this variable in the step event. Okay. Of the player object to control how often the shooting occurs, like if mouse down variable. Man, I did all that work and it was supposed to be attached to this one. Are you kidding me? Tell you 3. There we go. What we have done is nest an if variable action in the mouse down action. So now it reads that if the mouse is held down, if the variable mouse is held down, if the variable is less than 1 something. Let's do something is assign variable. This is how it's supposed to look. Oh look. Okay. Assign a variable, which means the next game frame, if the variable fail, and no bullet will be created because cooldown is low. It can be a bit tricky to recognize actions from the following animations, so I'll show you how to do these actions correctly. You want if mouse down variable create. If mouse down, you're supposed to. But if I have if mouse down, create and assign a variable. I don't have that if variable. That's the cooldown one we just made. Okay. I just need if. Where's it at? Okay. There we go. I figured it out. Alright. Okay. Then now that needs to be cooldown less N1. Speed. Cool down less. Here we are. Got it. Okay. There's a problem with this, however. We don't count down the variable cooldown anywhere. So we will fire a bullet and no more, since it will be set to 3 and subsequent if check will fail. Okay. Right. So we need to add another assigned variable action after all of the others outside of the if. And variable cooldown -1 is relative outside of it. Okay, so another if. Variable. Get out of here. Not supposed to be there. Variable. Cooldown -1 relative. Cool. -1 is relative. Go. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. How you doing, chat? I just realized that you weren't able to see anything that I've been doing. I apologize. This is what I'm doing. I am dragging and dropping and making a game from scratch. I apologize for you guys not being able to see it, but this is what I've done so far. I made this guy. I made it so he could follow my mouse around, like rotate with the mouse. Down, up, left, right, click. It fucks up. Where is the if cool? Okay. Yeah, well, I wasn't done with that part anyway, so that's okay. Oh, just back up. If you test the game again, you see that bullets fire from a bit slower. Okay, well, that didn't happen. So, MB left, cooldown 1 less than, left cool less than 1. Object, bullet, XY, bullets layer. Ah, temp. Okay, that was different. Cooldown 3, action, cooldown -1, full. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Variable object player cooldown. Not set before reading it. At GML object. Yep. 0. 4. Let's see where we're. Ah! Is it supposed to be attached to that one? Figure that out. If mouse down. Yeah, you're supposed to be attached. And are. So. The list again. Down. Left. Pull down. Object. Bullet. Box. Oh. Bullet slate. Temp. Demo. I'll use. Variable cooldown 1. Everything's correct. For that code setting. In action step event object variable object. Line 100. Okay, that's where the problem is. Have to drag and drop, so there are no lines. Hey, got another view. How are you doing? Making a game from scratch. Need to figure out what my problem here is. Okay, that's their list. If EK right down, add 4 to X, left down, -4, up, down, 4 to Y, layer temp, direction, rotate. Direction, allow F left mouse button. That's what we need. If left mouse button is down, if cooldown less than 1, create object bullet at XY, set cooldown to 3, add -1 cooldown. Why is there a cooldown relative here? Okay, I have it real. Why you fucking with me, huh? Why? If you test the game again now, you see the bullets fly a bit slower. For our purposes, it's still too fast. Simple. Change the 3 step event to 10. Okay. This one. 10. Still not gonna fix it, I don't think, but we're gonna see. Everything's fine. Click. Problem. Where are you guys able to see where I'm fucking up? I'm having a rough time with that. Be left. Value 1. Okay. Nope, that wasn't it. Crap. Alright. Less. I know I'm dyslexic, but I just gotta make sure that I spelled everything correctly. Object bullet XY bullets layer temp Y bullets layer temp sign variable cooldown sign variable cooldown -1 is relative. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pause that. We're gonna go to the tutorial. He's got a video attached to it. And we're gonna go to that part and we're gonna figure it out.
Welcome back. So in this part of the series, we're going to look at creating a bullet object, okay, that the player can fire just by pressing the mouse button. We'll be able to click and shoot lots of lovely, pretty bullets. First thing we're going to want to do is very similar to the first tutorial. Is we're going to want to make a sprite for our. I'm actually going to add any in X and Y. We're going to use the same constants we use, but we'll come to that. That's now we finally want to actually step event angle using that direction. I'm going to do the same thing here. So what we're going to do is change our point direction to be mouse X and mouse Y. So that's 16 for the instance. Yeah, that's because we're creating everything on the same layer at the moment, okay? We're creating everything on just our default instances layer that our room generates. They're new to GameMaker Studio 2. These weren't in 1.x. You can use layers to rearrange the order in which things are drawn to the layer. New instances layer. I'm going to click that and create a new instances layer. I'm going to call this one layer underscore bullet, okay? And drag that underneath the layer player there, so this little line appears, and it moves just like that. So now our bullet layer is below our that layer. And if I like put them like that, and if I now rearrange those layers, so if I move this down under here, you'll see the bullet's now on top. And that's okay when we're holding the mouse button. Instead of targeting the layer instances, the only other problem remaining with this is that currently our bullets fire every single frame of the game.
Alright, here's the spot. This is where we're supposed to see.
A new bullet is spawned, okay, meaning we don't have any control over sort of our firing rate. And that's not good. So what we're going to do is fix that, and we're going to create a variable that we'll use to give the bullet firing a bit of a cooldown, so we can actually adjust the rate at which it fires. You might want it to fire every single frame in your game, it's up to you, but I'm just going to show you now how you can have a bit of control over that. So let's come back to our player object. Okay, let's close the remitter, we don't need the layers view anymore. And our player object, okay, let's add a new event, let's add the create event this time, okay, so just when this object is made for the first time, or when an instance of it is made rather, okay. What we're going to do is we're going to create what's called a variable. Okay, so you see this in common under here, I've got a assign variable. So I'm going to drag this into place. Okay, so assign variable, we give it a name and a value. Now, there's nothing to really be scared of. All a variable is a word that is a number. Okay, that's the easiest way to think of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this word cooldown. And I'm going to give it a value of 0. So that means, okay, we've created the word cooldown, okay, is now important to this instance, and it represents the number 0. So any other time in any of our other logic we refer to the word cooldown, we're actually referring to the number 0. Now, why on earth would you want to do that? Well, because of, well, it's the clue is in the name, variable. We can actually change this on the fly to mean various different numbers, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to change cooldown to 3 every time we fire, and make it so we can only fire if cooldown is less than 1, and then every frame will tick cooldown down by 1, so it reduces by 1 every frame until it's 0. Okay, so we get this constant sort of 3, 2, 1, 0 fire, 3, 2, 1, 0 fire behavior of our player object, rather than just fire, fire, fire every frame. Okay, so let's go back now to our step event. Okay, so just click over here and back to where we're actually creating this bullet. So at the moment we just check to see if the mouse is down, and then we fire the bullet. But we want to do more than that. We want to check to see if the mouse is down and if cooldown is less than 1, which it currently is. It's 0. Okay, sort of flowchart symbol specifies a condition, which is exactly what we want. So let's drag this and put this in here, and drag this to the side of here, because we want to create a new chain. So we'll say if this is true, and then if this is true, do this. Okay.
So this is where dyslexia and ADHD come in. Completely forgot that entire variable. Wow. Okay, spins around, down, up, left, right, click, fires, and there we go. I forgot that stupid variable because of not paying attention. Alright, we can continue. Alright. Alright. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the chat. If anybody is curious about the program that I'm using, it's called GameMaker Studio 2. I'm going to send the link into the chat, and you guys can head there. It's a free download. There's tutorials that you can follow like I'm doing right now. You can also download resource packs like I did with that I'm using to make this project along with the tutorial. If you're having trouble finding the resources pack, I had trouble finding the resources pack, but I opened his YouTube video, and down here in the description is the zip file download that you will use for the resources. Okay, let's get past all this. But yeah, the link is in the chat if you guys want to get this program. A lot of fun. So now we can do the summary. Alright, how to use multiple if check different conditions, how to create a new instance using the action, how to create new layers and change the layer order in the room editor, and how to create an instance variable using it for other options. Go. Now, we get to move on to game speed. You made it to the enemy section. That says game speed. Whatever. And you're doing well. You should now have a player ship that can move around and shoot the bullets that are timed to come out at irregular intervals. So, what's next? Well, most games have a form of goal to achieve, and more often than not, this involves shooting something. So in this tutorial, we're going to add some enemies. Okay. Close the accompanying video. I don't need that video anymore because that was for the bullets, but I'm going to go ahead and open up this video in case I need it. Before getting to that part, we are going to add enemies. However, we are going to take a moment to speed the game up and make it feel more responsive. We could do this by changing the amount of pixels that the player moves when the arrow keys are pressed, along with changing the bullet speed and the timer instance variable we use. But there is an easier way. As mentioned previously, all games run at speed which is defined by the number of times the game loop runs in a second, the FPS. So each loop is called a game frame, so we call the speed at which the game runs the frames per second, or FPS. By default, this is set to 30 by GameMaker Studio 2 for any new project. It's fine for puzzle games or games that don't require fast response times, or even for mobile games, but for arcade-style games like ours, the preferred would be 60 frames per second. The game frames per second setting can be changed in the game options, which you can open from the cog button at the top of the IDE. This button right here. Going to the resource, 60 frames per second. What? It's already set to 60 frames per second. I don't have to do that. Don't have to do that step at all because I guess by default it already set it to 60. Alright. Oh. Okay. The enemy object. The workflow for creating the enemy object is the exact same. Chance, come here, boy. Come here. How you doing? I love you. The exact same at which used for the player and the bullet object. So we will simply list the steps here. See how it goes. Create a new sprite. Call it sprite enemy. Import the image. Set the origin of the sprite in the middle. Okay, yeah, okay. So, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to close the object player. We're going to go to sprites. We're going to 8. Right? Oh, that's a script. Crap. I don't want to do that. 8 sprite. Call it object. Enemy. Go. Import. It doesn't want to give me the enemy. Okay, let me see why that would be. You didn't give me the enemy. Okay. In that case, we're going to our own. Yeah, we're just going to make our own enemy. Enemy. enemy real quick. So we're just gonna make a box. Little enemy. We'll color it green. Go. Save. Pictures. Open. Yes. You are huge. Going to set this to center. And that's that. Let me go ahead and fix this one up real quick though, because I realized I put it on top left and I want it center. Center. Here we go. Alright, we are caught up, and I still have 4 viewers. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching this. I hope that you find it entertaining. Get the music going back on. Alright, let's go back. Now, I gotta create an object still and add it to there. Okay, we're gonna go to objects, create object, object underscore. Select the sprite, that one, and we are good. Alright. See, that's what the enemy's supposed to look like, but they didn't give me the enemy. So, it's really unfortunate. It's kind of cool looking. Now, we're going to create an event for our enemy. In this event, we will add the following assigned variable action. HP 5. So, add, create, assign, right? Assign variable HP and 5. Variable P. Set this to 5. Go. Now, let's see. HP is an instance variable that we want all instances of this object to have, and it will store the health points for the enemy object. Every time we shoot the enemy, we will deduct 1 from the value until it reaches 0. So I'm going to have to hit this enemy 5 times to kill it, basically, because I set its health to 5. We have them and create event. Keep in mind that this instance variables need to be initialized before use, so that is why we have them in the create event, as that event is to run every instance it's created and runs once. So the variable is only set once at the start. Next, we need another variable for the speed we want the enemy to move at. Now, am I putting that in the same? Am I putting that in the same spot? The variable would be used to define the movement. Let's note that we are not speed value directly, but instead that we're gonna do it. Speed, SPD, and 1.5. Say 1.5. Go. Right. So we're using the custom variable for the speed. Why? Well, we could just use the value 1.5 and all future actions deal with this instant speed. But if we want to change that value, it would mean searching through all of the actions and manually fixing it. This can be very time consuming, error prone. So we'll use the instance variable instead to store the value. This means that if we want to change it, we only need to change it in one event and the rest of the actions work. feel like it's supposed to be under, but we're gonna leave it under create because they didn't specify. I could watch the video, but I think it'll go. Doesn't seem like a great way to go, but fuck it. We need to add a step event to the enemy object. The event runs every game frame in it. And we are going to check for player instance in the room. If one is found, we'll move towards it. Actions will be like this. Okay, so if instance of exists, to step event, going to do a if variable. There we go. If object, if instance exists. Okay, it's not that one. He's starting to, like, either I'm starting to, my brain is starting to break down, or he's starting to, like, not do a very good job explaining things. Let's see. Step event, break the event. Towards it, the action. If instance. If instance. These are instances. If instance exists. There we go. Okay. Object. One object. Go. And set point direction. Player X. Set that point that there we go, I got it now. Okay, object player dot X, object player dot Y. Object player dot X, object player dot Y. Okay, next part, and set speed direction. Speed, set speed, direction. Double check that I got it right. Yep. Let's go through the actions here one at a time. Check if there's an instance. So if there is an instance of the player, we then tell the enemy to move at the speed variable towards it. Finally, we want to add this outside of the if. Set instance rotation, angle, direction. Rotation. Instance. Be outside of the if. Side. Okay. You've seen this action before in other objects, so you know what to do here. Full action list. Like this. Yep. 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 Right. Okay. Hey, 5 viewers, how you doing? Appreciate you stopping by to check this out. Learning to make a game from scratch. Ignore the playing Splitgate part. Okay. So, you should be able to open the room editor, run the game, view instances of the enemy object. Okay. So, go into the room. To open this up, drop on one. Drop a few instances. This asset can only be applied to an instance layer. Oh, okay. Sure, why not? We're gonna call it enemy. There we go. Now we're gonna move one here. We're gonna put one here. We're gonna put one here, and here. Now we're gonna test it out. I mean that works, but my enemy's not popping up. They're not being created. Create. I give them health and everything. They're in the room. Why are you not popping up? Problem here. You don't exist. Why don't you exist? The bull? Making games is not easy, guys. It is not easy. We're gonna scroll back up and take a look at this real quick. Enemy object. Okay. Create the sprite resource. Check. Call it enemy. Ha! Oops. Done. Object. Go. Import an image. Remember, following a tutorial, you can also find the. Oh, thanks for giving me all the enemy images now. Stupid. Okay. Go back in here. Going to here. Going to delete this. Port. This. There we go. Alright. Now we're on track. Now they look right. Okay. Set the origin of the sprite in the middle. Yep. Okay. Call it object enemy. Very new object resource called object enemy. Got it. Find the enemy sprite we just added to a new object. There. Okay. All goes correctly. Yep. So, create the event, health. Health, speed. Step event, object player. Action. Blah. Action. Right. He should be they should be following. But they're not showing up. See what the problem is. Throw this in there. Throw this in there. There. That. And play. Still not showing. This room 1 is that the problem? Alright, you guys gotta give me a second. I have to Google something. Are they outside? But when right up on. No. Don't exist. Why? You're here. You're visible. What's the problem? Why do you guys not? Why can't? Well, either way, I got a guy that moves around and shoots. So, that's something.
Vibing.
This is room game here. But alright. I'm gonna take a quick break real quick. Try to figure out what's going on here. And then I'll be back.
Vibing. Vibing.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay, so I got them into the room. I still move around, I still shoot. The problem is the objects are not... They're supposed to be moving. Supposed to be doing this. Figure out what's wrong. Create them. 5, blah blah blah. Speed 1.5. Step. Let me see. Direction. Player X up Y. Let's make sure none of them are supposed to be relative. Nope. If object player exit. That point to the speed to speed. Speed is 1.5. Okay. Five. Five. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna figure it out.
Let's call this obj underscore enemy. Let's set the sprite to be spr underscore enemy. Then go ahead and add the create event. Okay, so first of all, let's just make ourselves some space by closing this dock over to the side. Actually, while I'm mentioning that, if I open that back to the screen. Okay, well, we want to assign a couple of variables. Okay, so I'm going to find just in the common or in the recently used for me, the assign variable action. I'm going to drag that into our drag and drop space. Okay, we're going to assign the variable HP to be 5. That's HP standing for hit points or health. So we're going to give this enemy 5 points of health. Okay, so that doesn't actually mean anything in our game yet. Okay, we've just created the word HP, completely arbitrary, and we've said that HP means 5. And what we're going to do throughout this object's logic is say that when that HP is below 0 or is equal or less than 0 to destroy the enemy object. And we'll have it so when it collides with our bullet object, we'll reduce the HP by 1 every time that happens. Okay, so we've got HP of 5. We're going to assign another variable as well. I'm going to drag in another one of these boxes just underneath. And this one is going to be SPD, okay? That's going to stand for speed. Now be careful here, we're not using the built-in variable speed, okay? So don't type speed or hspeed or any of those. We're making our own variable just called SPD. Stands for speed, but that's just for us to know, not GameMaker. What we're going to use this for is just to be a value that we can give to the object to tell it how fast to move towards the player every frame. So I'm just going to set that to something really small. I'm going to use 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to move 1.5 pixels a frame towards the player, which we'll set up in a moment. So let's go to add event now and add the step event. Okay, not the begin or end step, just the regular old step event. Okay, so as we've explained before, step event happens every single frame of the game. So anything we put in here, this object will carry that out every single frame it exists. Okay, so grab the if instance exists action. Okay, it's this little green one in the instances category, and drag that in. So this is just going to check to see if an instance of a particular object exists. So if you just click this, we can get a list of the different objects we've defined. We want to check to see if the player exists. Okay, and if the player exists, we'll move towards the player. If the player doesn't exist, say he's just died or whatever, we could do that later on in the game. Then we won't move towards him. We'll only do this if he does exist. Because if he doesn't exist and we try and do this, we won't be able to find the player's position. Okay, we'll look for the player's position, we won't be able to find it because he won't exist, and that might cause a bug or a crash. So once we've checked to see if the player exists, what we want to do is set our direction to face towards the player. So grab set point direction, we've used this one before, and drag it to the side of this node, okay, so that it joins with a green line like that. We don't want it to join like that, we want it to join this green line, okay, because that means if this happens, do this, okay, whereas if we just put it underneath, it'll just do both regardless. So if the player exists, we want to set our point direction to be for our x coordinate obj underscore player, and you can see it found that in the autocomplete. And if we type dot, we can refer to a property of the player. Okay, so we can find all sorts of things, all these built-in variables here. Just by typing a dot at the end of object player, we can find various different properties of our player object. What we just want is the x coordinate, okay? So we can click that, or I could have just typed x. I'm just going to type obj underscore player dot y, okay? And that's going to set our direction to point towards wherever the player currently is on the screen, okay? And that it works to refer to it by the object here because there's only going to be one instance of our player object on the screen at any time, or so we would hope anyway. Okay, so now once we've done that, we're going to set our speed. So find the set speed action. Okay, it's just these 3 arrows. Drag that underneath here. You can drag that one straight underneath as long as it's still connected by the screen line, because you can see through this sort of indentation the flow of logic. So if this exists, do this column of stuff. Okay. So set speed, type directional, and our speed can be the variable SPD. Okay. We could have just typed 1.5 in there, but it's useful to define that as a variable because then we can use it for other things later. So by typing SPD, we're just referring back to the variable that we established in our create event, which is 1.5. And we're just bringing that across into where we set our speed every frame. Okay. The last thing we want to do is just make sure that the image, the sprite for this object faces towards its direction every frame, just as
Ah, okay. Got it. Got it, got it, got it. This is the one I was making. This is the one that it's supposed to go to. My fuck up was I made 2 objects for my character. So I just need to fix that. Alright, so how we're gonna fix that? So that. So here we're gonna select objects. We're gonna go to object here, the whole one that I did. Right. Object. Object player. Now, hit it again. And they're chasing me. Okay. It's these little minor things that you fuck up on that just it screws up everything. So we can go ahead and get rid of that one. And we're gonna take these and kind of spread them out randomly a little bit. Oh. Oh no. Not yet. Oh. Okay. We are caught up. Sweet. Oh, I don't feel so stupid anymore. I mean, I do feel stupid because such a minor thing that held me up for so long. But what you gonna do, right? Hey, Alan, how you doing? Alan on Facebook, how you doing? Sorry, I did not see you, sir. Okay, let's get back to work. So, they're following me. Cool. At the moment, the enemy just follows the player around. Doesn't actually do or react to anything else. We fix that. So, to start with, we need to edit the step event again. We are going to expand on the current actions to include a check to see if HP variable is initialized previously less than or equal to 0. Okay, so it's going to be bullet 0. And if it is, we are going to destroy the instance and remove it from the game room. This is done using the following actions. Should be added in after the current ones. Okay, workspace. uh, after the current one, right? 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 So after these? Because that's what we were working on last, right? Alan, what's up? Hanging out, just chilling. I asked if you wanted to play Splitgate a few hours ago. Oh, dude, I'm not even playing Splitgate, so I just forgot to change that thing. I've been making that game for a little bit now. Apologize for that. Okay, so yeah, this is the previous one. Said do it in the previous one. So yeah, if variable HP less or equal to 0, destroy object. Okay, so if variable HP less or equal to 0, we're going to destroy object. Wait, what was this? The sorry, object instance. And make the HP variable actually go down. Okay, well, I'm not there yet. Destroy object instance. Destroy object. No? No? Not at all? Destroy position, destroy engine. Destroy objects, object enemy. Connect it. Destroy instance. That should be correct. Next thing to do. Make the HP value variable actually go down. Oh. I mean, I asked on chat a few hours ago. Yeah, I know, dude. I'm sorry. I completely forgot. I was hanging out with Roxy. Completely forgot. My bad. But, I'm down to play in a little bit if you are. Well, it's 12. I don't know. I'll let you know. Need to add collision. Open the object, object bullets. Okay. Let's go ahead and close. What? Spot player. Go ahead and get this bullet open. Go. We need to add a collision event. Add collision object enemy. Add event. Create collision objects enemy. Cool. Get in there. Now this is the event where we will need to affect the HP variable of the colliding instance as we saw using the point method. However, that won't work because there are multiple enemies within the room. Which one you are actually affects. So. Okay. Object enemy dot HP. Object. Object enemy. Okay. So that's 1 relative. The code will subtract 1 from any of the instances of object enemy in the room, and so it is best used when we know that there is only one unique instance to be accessed. Instead, we need to tell the GameMaker Studio to change the scope of the following action. Select the other instance in the collision the action applies to. Drag this into the action work. Then have to click the little arrow on the right to select the target. It can be object and couple keywords. This case would be other. Using this, we are telling GameMaker Studio 2 that the following action blocks are to run as if they were part of other instance collision act. In this case, object enemy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next, we need to add assign variable action shown above. We chain it to right of the assign to act. I need to add an apply to. Scope collision use action applies to. Okay, so action applies. Search it out. Action. Nope. Applies.
Vibing.
Applies to. Was it? Did it say other or should it? Want it to other? Okay, it's the object enemy. Okay. So applies to objects enemy. Object enemy. There we go. Now we need to assign the variable. To add assign variable action to show above on the right of the. Wait. Is this one not supposed to? Bro, this guy's like breaking down and making. His instructions are shit. HP. Yeah, so that's a whole different one. Okay. Yeah. Alright. What do you got? Tell me how you're doing this. Need to know. Oh, wait, that was it. No, that wasn't it. HP. Okay, here we are. HP -1. Relative. Got it. Cool. Yep. Ugh.
The little down arrow here, it says apply to a different instance if I hover over it. And you can see by default it's set to self. Okay, so by default it will be the bullet applying this node, this action to itself. So instead of that, we want to apply it to not obj_enemy, what you might think, because that would apply it to every instance of enemy in the room. So the moment we shot one enemy, every enemy would get hit, and we don't want that. We just want to apply it to the one instance that we've hit. We can do that by selecting other. Okay, so click other, and you can see this pink outline shows up around the node to symbolize that not obj. Okay, so it's applied to a different instance. But what we can do is we can make it so this applies to the enemy instance that we've collided with instead. If you just click the little down arrow here, it says apply to a different instance if I hover over it. And you can see by default it's set to self. Okay, so by default it will be the bullet applying this node, this action to itself. So instead of that, we want to apply it to not obj_enemy, what you might think, because that would apply it to every instance of enemy in the room. So the moment we shot one enemy, every enemy would get hit, and we don't want that. We just want to apply it to the one instance that we've hit. We can do that by selecting other. Okay, so click other, and you can see this pink outline shows up around the node to symbolize that it's applying to an instance that's not self. Okay, and if we drag this out here, you can see add -1 to HP on other. Okay, so not on itself, on other. Now other is the other instance involved in a collision event when one occurs. Okay, so when we collide with obj_enemy, the value other becomes the particular instance that we've collided with. So this is how we find the exact enemy we've just hit. Okay, so it's going to find that particular enemy instance and subtract 1 from its HP. Okay, now if we run the game, shoot, you'll notice the enemies can be destroyed, but it's not working exactly how we thought it would. Okay, the bullets are just insta-killing the enemies, or it appears that way. Actually, what's happening is because the bullets themselves are not getting destroyed, they're continuing to collide with the enemy every single frame. So after touching the enemy once, 5 frames later, when they've subtracted 1 hit point every frame, the enemy gets destroyed and then the bullet just carries on. So what we want to do is make sure we destroy the bullet object. So let's drag in a destroy instance into this as well. So let's now run that. We should find... Yes, and now we actually have to hit each enemy 5 times for them to go away. Yeah, well, so let's now run that into this as well. So let's now run that. We should find... Yes, and now we actually have to hit each enemy 5 times for them to go. Away and the bullets get destroyed as we would expect them to. We should find into this. It is make frame, the enemy gets destroyed and then the frame collide actually would. Okay, you'll notice the enemy on So this is how we find the exact enemy we've just hit. Okay, so it's going to find that particular enemy instance we've just the particular enemy, the value other occurs. Instance is on other. Mind and in pink the enemy would get hit, and we don't want that. We just want to apply it to the one instance that we've hit. We can do that by selecting we don't want instance obj itself, or it will be the bullet applying. You can see by default it's set to self. Okay, so by default it will be the bullet applying this but track. Okay, hey, like the default, any node that you put in here applies to the instance running it, so they apply to obj_bullet. So if I go and drag in a sign variable, now I'm going to type HP -1 relative, okay? So subtract, because I ticked relative, it's not setting it to -1, it's subtracting -1 from our hit HP variable. But if I were to run this now, this would try to apply itself to a HP variable in the bullet object, and the bullet object doesn't have a HP variable. But what we can do is we can make it so this applies to the enemy instance that we've collided with instead. If you just click the little down arrow here, it says apply to a different instance if I hover over it. And you can see by default it's set to self. Okay, so by default it will be the bullet applying this node, this action to itself. So instead of that, we want to apply it to not obj_enemy, what you might think, because that would apply it to every instance of enemy in the room. So the moment we shot one enemy, every enemy would get hit, and we don't want that. We just want to apply it to the one instance that we've hit. We can do that by selecting other. Okay, so click other, and you can see this pink outline shows up around the node to symbolize that it's applying to an instance that's not self. Okay, and if we drag this out here, you can see add -1 to HP on other. Okay, so not on itself, on other. Now other is the other instance involved in a collision event when one occurs. Okay, so when we collide with obj_enemy, the value other becomes the particular instance that we've collided with. So this is how we find the exact enemy we've just hit. Okay, so it's going to find that particular enemy instance and subtract 1 from its HP. Okay, now if we run the game, shoot, you'll notice the enemies can be destroyed, but it's not working exactly how we thought it would. Okay, shoot, you'll notice the enemies can be destroyed, but it's not working exactly how we thought it would. Okay, the bullets are just insta-killing the enemies, or is that our hit points never reach 0 or less than 0 because we establish them in the create event as 5, and then nothing actually reduces them. Our hit points never reach 0. Now the destroy instance here, so destroy instance, you notice destroy the instance, so I'm going to add this here. So destroy instance, you notice there's no other properties there. Okay, it's just a single node destroy instance. All it does is destroy this particular instance. Okay, and that's all we really need for the enemy step event. Now at the moment, obviously the problem is that our hit points never reach 0 or less than 0 because we establish them in the create event as 5, and then nothing actually reduces them. Okay, so we need to make it so our bullets can hit the enemy and actually reduce their HP. So let's bring back our resource tree and go to obj_bullet. Okay, let's open this up. In here here what we do is instance running it, so they apply to obj_bullet. So if I go and drag in a sign variable, now I'm gonna run this in, get so click. Thought it would be so what you might me every end. We can do that by selecting other. Okay, so click other, and you can see this pink outline shows up around the node to symbolize that it's applying to an instance that's not self. Okay, and if we drag this out here, you can see add -1 to HP on other. Okay, so not on itself, on other. Now other is the other instance involved in a collision event when one occurs. Okay, so when we collide with obj_enemy, the value other becomes the particular instance that we've collided with. So this is how we find the exact enemy we've just hit. Okay, so it's going to find that particular enemy instance and subtract 1 from its HP. Okay, now if we run the game, shoot, you'll notice the enemies can be destroyed, but it's not working exactly how we thought it would. Okay, the bullets are just insta-killing the enemies, or it appears that way. Actually what's happening is because the bullets themselves are not getting destroyed, they're continuing to collide with the enemy every single frame. So after touching the enemy once, 5 frames later, when they've subtracted 1 hit point every frame, the enemy gets destroyed and then the bullet just carries on. So what we want to do is make sure we destroy the bullet object. So let's drag in a destroy instance into this as well. So let's now run. That we should find, yes, and now we actually have to hit each enemy 5 times for them to go away and the bullets get destroyed as we would expect them to. So the last thing we're going to want to do here is, you might have noticed just then when we were shooting the things, I mean I can run it again, the collision boxes aren't exactly perfect. They're pretty alright for defaults there, but they're not exactly perfect. So what we can do to improve that is if we go to SPR and scope bullet, just bring up the sprite and open collision mask, you can see this big box that's appeared. Over here, this is the default collision mask, just covers the whole sprite. Okay, and if we turn this alpha tolerance bar up, you can see it's automatically calculating a rectangle collision mask, because this is where it'll actually detect a collision, as if this box overlaps the same box of another sprite. Okay, and you can see that by increasing this, we shrink it down from not using all this extra transparent space around, but actually just using the sprite. But here what we actually want to do is we want to set it manually, so I'm just going to drag this box just by its corners to only overlap the actual tip of the bullet, because this is the part of the bullet that we care about actually hitting the enemy. Okay, this is just sort of a trail behind it, so we don't really care if this touches an enemy, we care about if this bit touches it. Okay, so now if we close that, let's edit all of these. So let's go to our player object, player sprite even, sorry, open the collision mask of that, and let's shrink this down, because we're going to make it so if the player touches an enemy, they also get destroyed, or rather we'll restart the game. So let's shrink that down as well, because we want it to feel fair when the player gets hit. So it's always better when you're doing your collision mask to try and err on the side of making it hard to get hit for the player rather than making it too easy. Because if we stretched it out really big, and say the enemy collided with us in this space here and we got a game over, we'd feel as a player that that would feel kind of unfair. It's like, oh, I wasn't even touching him. And there's always going to be an element of that when you're using a square collision mask. You can use like more precise collision masks, but they are much less efficient. So we're going to stick with the square one. So, but what we're going to do is just shrink it below the sides of it, so we actually give the player a bit of leeway, so they can actually touch an enemy with the sides of their sprite. It's a very, very common design technique, and actually get away with it. But if they touch way too close, then we kill them, and then that feels a bit more fair. So okay, so let's close the player sprite with that. Let's open the enemy sprite. With the enemy, we can keep it fairly big and generous, because we want the enemies to get hit by the bullet, just as in the same way it will feel it's like reversed for our enemies. So we want the bullets to hit the enemy fairly easily. Like if we made that one really small and our bullets like whizzed past the side of the enemy here without hitting them, we'd be like, oh, that's totally unfair, I totally hit him. You know. So you kind of have to sort of well, you don't have to, but like it's classic design to sort of bias this in the player's favor a little. So that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to make that about that big, close that, and now let's add some more. Before we run the game and actually see what we've done there, let's go to our player object and add an event for a collision with obj_enemy. Okay. And all we're going to do in here is find the game restart action, which is somewhere around here in the game category. Okay, so restart game, this sort of recycle node. You see there's no other options that need to come along with that, just restart game. We collide with any instance of an enemy, and that's good enough. So let's run the game. So as you can see, when the player touches an enemy now, you can see they get quite close before it actually triggers. The game just fully restarts. If I move away and I start shooting at them, you can see they go away. But then if one actually touches me, gets close enough, the game restarts. And you can see our sort of collision masks having an effect on it there as well. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you're continuing to find this useful, and I'll catch you guys.
Alright, so we got the game fixed up and going. The written out tutorial and the YouTube videos are completely different, and that makes things confusing. But where we're at now, I'm going to go ahead and run the game. I can move around using the arrow keys. My guy rotates as I turn the mouse. I can click to fire and kill an enemy. I can hold it down to fire. As long as the bullets aren't hitting the enemy, fine. The bullets kill the enemy, and if I touch the enemy, it restarts the game. That is where we're at. So, there we go. That's where we're at for now. And I think that's where we're going to end it. So, I really, really, really appreciate people checking out the stream. I hope you had a great time, and I will see you next time. Have a great night.